Claude, an AI assistant built with safety at its core. Agenda: AI alignment approaches, Claude history, why Claude matters, response generation lifecycle. Getting started, basic workflow, constitutional AI and alignment. AI alignment. AI alignment is the practice of shaping a language model's behavior so it's genuinely helpful while avoiding harmful, dishonest, or unsafe outputs. If a model is trained only to sound confident, it can produce fluent answers that are subtly wrong or actively harmful. Almost every large language model needs some alignment process layered on top of raw next token prediction to behave well in conversation. Any assistant meant for everyday use benefits from a consistent, principled way of deciding what a good response looks like. Relying purely on a model's raw training data to decide right from wrong doesn't scale into safe, reliable behavior. Human feedback only and constitutional AI. A purely human feedback approach trains a model using only rankings and corrections written by human reviewers. Claude's training instead incorporates constitutional AI, where a written set of principles helps guide additional AI-assisted feedback alongside human input. Human feedback only. Reviewers rank outputs. Model learns preferences directly. No written standard. Constitutional AI. Claude. Written principles guide critic. AI-assisted feedback. Problems with relying solely on human feedback. Single point of inconsistency. Different human reviewers can rank the same response differently without a written standard to align them. Human review at scale is expensive and slow compared to feedback a model can help generate itself. Purely human labeled data can accidentally encode the specific reviewer's blind spots or biases. Hard to audit why a model behaves a certain way without an explicit written set of principles behind it. Scaling human review to catch every edge case across a huge range of topics is genuinely difficult. Misses out on a documented, inspectable standard that explains the reasoning behind a model's behavior. The Claude system, user input, and conversation history form the context a model considers before generating a response. Claude's training combines human feedback with constitutional AI, using a written set of principles to guide additional AI-assisted critique and revision. The result aims to be a model that's both genuinely helpful and consistently careful about harm, honesty, and safety. Other well-known conversational AI systems: OpenAI ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Meta AI. Claude advantages: trained with an explicit set of guiding principles, not just implicit patterns from human rankings. Designed to be helpful while remaining careful about harmful, dishonest, or unsafe requests. Handles long documents and extended conversations within a large context window. Available across multiple surfaces, a chat interface, an API, and developer tools like Cloud Code. Supports a range of model sizes, letting a task trade off speed against depth of reasoning. backed by Anthropic's research focus on AI safety and alignment. Everything is checked against a constitution, almost. One huge benefit of this approach is that almost every aspect of Claude's trained behavior traces back to an explicit set of guiding principles. Instead of only learning from scattered human preferences, the model is trained partly by critiquing its own responses against written principles. This makes it possible to point to a specific standard behind a behavior rather than an implicit pattern buried in training data. The approach is designed to make safety training more consistent and more scalable than human review alone. This principle guided process is a big part of what distinguishes Claude's training from a purely human feedback only approach. Helpfulness and harmfulness. Helpfulness. Genuinely assisting with users' actual requests. Harmlessness. Avoiding responses that could cause real harm. A simplified constitutional feedback loop. Constitutional AI trains a model partly by having it critique its own draft responses. A simple API call. Most integrations send a conversation history and receive a generated response. History. Anthropic was founded in the year 2021 by a group including Dario Amodei and Daniela Amodei, several of whom had previously worked on AI safety research at OpenAI. The company published its constitutional AI research in late 2022, describing how a written set of principles could guide a model's training. Claude launched as Anthropic's assistant product in 2023, followed by successive model families expanding capability and context length. Later releases introduced multiple model sizes within the same generation, letting users trade off speed against deeper reasoning. Claude is now accessible through a chat interface, an API, and developer platform, and tools like Cloud Code for software development. Why Cloud matters? Safety focused. Built by a company whose research centers on AI alignment and safety principle, trained partly around an explicit written set of guiding principles, capable, handles long documents, complex reasoning, and multi-turn conversations, flexible, available through chat, API, and developer-focused tools. Multi-tier, different model sizes let tasks balance speed against depth. Actively developed, successive model generations have expanded capability over time. Constitutional AI. Constitutional AI uses a written set of principles to guide a model's own critique of its draft responses. The model is prompted to identify ways a draft response might violate the stated principles. That self-critique helps generate training data without requiring a human reviewer for every single example. Never assume constitutional AI replaces human oversight entirely. Human judgment still shapes the principles themselves and evaluates outcomes. Claude response lifecycle. User input prompt, build, conversation state, context, predict response, generate, display to user, return. A prompt is submitted, combined with conversation context. used to generate a response and finally return to the user. Getting started with Claude. This leads us to the three steps that get your first conversation going. Choose a surface. Click cloud.ai, the API, or a tool like Cloud Code. Create an account. Register for the surface that fits your use case. Write a prompt. Type a question or task in natural language. Basic workflow. Prompting, iterating, and refining. Some call prompt, iterate, and refine Cloud's everyday loop. Clear, specific prompts generally produce more focused, useful responses. Follow-up messages let you refine or redirect a response without starting the conversation over. Providing examples or explicit formatting instructions helps steer output toward what you need. Longer context windows let Cloud work with entire documents or code bases in a single conversation. Supports many workflows: writing, coding, research, analysis, and creative brainstorming. Works the same across the chat interface, mobile apps, and API integrations. Any questions? Thank you.